So hello, we're here at Energy 2050 Pavilion. I'm Guillaume Delaboulet from Energy 2050, and I'm here with Julie Green from SCI. Can you present yourself and tell us more about SCI activities?
Thank you, Guillaume. Julie Green, Executive Director of Solar Cookers International. We were very honored to be offered this opportunity to work with Energy's 2050 because you focus on collaboration and the global climate goals that we all share that can't happen without a lot of collaboration. So you have an excellent model that we aspire to follow as well. We work with the international global solar cooking sector because there are so many grassroots organizations all around the world who are working in their own communities to teach about solar thermal cooking technologies. And without that important piece where people see on a daily level that you really can cook with these technologies, they save money, they improve health, they help with climate preservation. Also, it's a great way to adapt for the world that we're living in now, when people don't have the access that they want to the energy that they need for cooking every single day. We know that in the NDCs, many of them don't address cooking when that's a basic human activity that must occur every day. Solar thermal also is a great technology for making water safe to drink. Again, in times when water is less available and it's definitely been exposed to more waterborne diseases, the ability to make it safe to drink is becoming more and more important in this world as we adapt. We are really looking forward to working with our partners, learning from them how we can use data to tell the story, to show that with every million solar cookers in place, how many lives will be saved, how much the burden of disease will be reduced, how many more trees will be left in the environment. These are all things important to know so that we can move forward and really have impact quickly before it's too late.
Okay, yeah. First of all, thank you, because if Energy 2050 aspire you or inspire you, it's already a success for us. But it's true that the collaborative approach is really the basis of Energy 2050. And I think you mentioned something very important, is that we need to find synergies between expertise also, between our fields of work, because we are working a lot at Energy 2050 on these methodologies, MRV, etc. And I think the collaboration that we have, because I mean they are advantages in terms of development, in terms of climate change mitigation, adaptation of solar cooker, as pretty obvious. But of course this is not our field, this is your field. But we have also expertise that we can bring to the table, so we can move forward on this on the agenda of climate.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, even though Energies has been around for 7 years, you have had a huge impact in a lot of areas, and you have really brought all of us along with you as you've traveled that journey.
Well, thank you very much. It's a lot of work, but with a bit of goodwill, yeah, we will make things advance. Maybe say a few words, because we're here at COP23. What does it represent for you to be here? Do you have the opportunity to meet other partners maybe? Is it for the collaboration that you're trying to foster, or is it more for the message that you want to get across? What is it, the purpose of your visit here?
That's a really great question. We've been fortunate to work with colleagues at the United Nations and civil society. We've participated in civil society events and also at high-level political forum events. But the spirit is so intense, and I've noticed over the past 5 years that when people gather at events like this and like COP23, there's definitely a sense of urgency that's increased. And also there's so much intersection between the work that people are doing. And I think there's a growing understanding that you can't just work on one issue without being aware that everyone's single issue is really part of the big issue. And when we gather 25,000 people, we're really all working on the same issue. We all hold a small piece of it. So together we're putting that together into one puzzle, and that's really the way that this work will move forward.
Yeah, and I think what's important also to know, and for people looking at this video, is that climate change negotiation, the COPs, you have countries negotiating on objectives and on how to finance the engagement, the commitments that they made. But there is also the commitments of the civil society, of non-state actors like us, who are really engaged to make concrete projects, commit real advancements. And this can be done within the framework of NDCs and within the frameworks of the engagements that the parties took also. And it's very important that I think it's very important that we're here to get this message across.
Yes.
I don't know if you feel the same way or...
Very much so. You mentioned the NDCs, and it's very important to have goals in writing. I've been looking at the NDC documents, and some of them, for instance, Nepal, they measure a specific number of clean stoves that they want to implement. That's a very specific goal, and I would predict that they'd be more likely to achieve that goal because it is in writing. So they can refer to it, drive toward fulfilling it. A lot of the countries sometimes use language that identifies something that they might like to do at some point in future, which is, I think, too vague to drive real action in the short term. So that is definitely a direction that we need to go. We need to realize that money is very important for funding because everybody needs the resources. But what you mentioned, the NGO community and civil society can contribute is we have expertise and we have a very large stake in the game. We are the people living in those communities. We are the people who are going to be impacted by what we do today here. Whether or not the funding arrives, we have to live it now. So being ready to adapt, I often think, you know, if everyone knew how to solar cook, it's a great mitigation, and it also is part of adaptation. When you really need to cook your food and suddenly the world has changed, it's not the time to start looking around for new ways to fulfill your basic needs. So knowing how to solar cook ideally would just be a way that everyone knows how to cook. Whether they want to or need to, it's available and ready.
No, it's true. It's also a health issue. It's a development issue, and it's very important that we emphasize that. It's okay. It has a value in terms of climate change, but it has a wonderful value also in terms of everything else.
Yes.
Okay. Maybe just say a few words about how you feel, because of course you mentioned that there is a real urgency to act. So when you see the numbers, they are very, very worrying. It's bad. But when you're here, you see a lot of initiative also going on, and we didn't wait. At least I can speak about Energy 2050 and yourself. We didn't wait for the NDCs and for the Paris Agreement to act. But how do you see the future? Do you see that the process of negotiation will allow more investment, will allow more finance to be available for initiatives like yours and like the work we are doing?
That is a really important question, and I think that first of all, people need to hear the same message repeated many times before everyone accepts it as simply the way it is. And I think that the dialogue in the COP process for the past many years has been leading up to this moment in time where we have now articulated it to the point where we all understand this is the new normal and we need to act and move forward. And we have a critical window of just till 2018 to make sure we have the process in place. We need to be beyond the process. We need to be into the action stage.
Yeah,
so
we need to raise the ambition of what is already there.
And I'm very aware, too, that many of the people that I've met who are younger and definitely are used to working on a global stage in a global community, they know ways to bypass the traditional step-by-step sequential progress. And I've learned some very exciting and creative ways for interaction here. So I think that's really going to carry us forward in the time frame we need to act.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of young people here, and I can speak for myself to say that we won't let that down, because it's for us it's the biggest, maybe one of the biggest issue of this at the moment. And on behalf of Energy 2050, I can also say I'm really looking forward to working with you on these great projects. We will see the collaboration. How is it really on the ground?
Yes.
But we are really looking forward to collaborate with you.
We are as well, and thanks very much to Energy's 2050.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you again.